Hello, my name is Irlanda Hernandez, and today we'll be learning about the bones in the skull. In the following video, we'll be learning about the bones in the skull. For example, right here we have the frontal bone, which articulates with the both parietal bones, and it also articulates with the sphenoid bone right here in the bottom, as you can see. Then the frontal bone also articulates with the nasal bones right here, and the maxilla right here, and the zygomatic bones on the sides too. The following video shows us the temporal bone, which is located right here. It's the Play-Doh in blue on the sides of the skull. The temporal bone basically articulates with both parietal bones of the skull. It also articulates with the occipital bone right here in orange, which goes all the way down like you can see. And it also articulates with the sphenoid bone, which is the gray part right here of the skull, and the zygomatic bones of both sides of the skull, and of course the mandible, which is the yellow part of the skull. This following video shows us the mandible, which is this yellow part right here of the skull. And the mandible articulates with the temporal bone, which is this blue part right here located on both sides of the skull. Now we have the parietal part of the skull. As we know, the parietal consists of two parts, which is these two pink parts right here that I'm showing you. It articulates the frontal lobe and the occipital part, which is shown right here, and the temporal, which is these two bottom parts right here, which are the blue ones right here that I'm showing you on this part. It also consists of sphenoid bone, which is this whole gray part right here, and the other parietal bone, of course. Now we have the occipital bone part of the skull, which is basically this orange section right here that I'm pointing at, and it goes all the way down to this section right here. It articulates with both temporal parts of the bone of the skull, and it also articulates with the parietal bone part too, which is this pink section. In this following video, we have the nasal bones, which are these two pink parts. It articulates with the frontal bone, which is this orange section right here. It also articulates with the maxilla, which is this blue part right here, and the other opposite nasal bone. And lastly, it articulates with the ethmoid bone, which is this yellow part right here. The following bone is the maxilla, which is this blue section right here that I'm showing you. It articulates with the ethmoid bone, which is this yellow part right here. It also articulates with the nasal bones, which are right there, the zygomatic, which are the foil, and the lacrimal bones, which are these two sections right here. It also articulates with the palatine bone, which is this orange section right here. And the maxilla also articulates with the vomer, which is this yellow part right here, as well as the inferior nasal concha. Also, most importantly, the maxilla articulates with the frontal bone as well, which is this orange section right here. Now we have the ethmoid bone, which basically is this yellow part right here, this one right here. It articulates with the frontal bone part of the skull, which is this orange section right here. It also articulates with the nasal bones, which are these two, and the lacrimal bones, which are these two pink as well. It also articulates with the maxilla, which is this blue section right here. The ethmoid bone also articulates with the palatine bone, which is this orange section right here, as well as the inferior nasal concha, which is this pink section right here. And lastly, it articulates with the vomer, which is this yellow section. Now we have the lacrimal bones of the skull, which are these two bones right here, the pink ones that I'm pointing at. They articulate with the frontal bone of the skull, which is this orange section right here. They also articulate with the ethmoid bone, which is this yellow section right here that I'm pointing at. The lacrimal bones also articulate with the inferior nasal concha bones, which are the last ones, and the maxillary bone, which is this blue section right here. Now we have the sphenoid bone of the skull, which is this gray section right here that I'm pointing at. The sphenoid bone articulates with the parietal bone right here, which is these pink sections right here, and the temporal bone, which is this blue, and frontal lobe, which is these right here. Bone, I mean. The sphenoid also articulates with the ethmoid bone, which is that yellow section, and the occipital bone, which is this orange section. It also articulates with the zygomatic bone, which is these aluminum foil parts right here. The sphenoid bone also articulates with the palatine, which is this orange section, and the vomer, which is this yellow section, and the maxilla, which is this blue section. Now we have the vomer bone of the skull, which is this yellow section right here. The vomer bone articulates with the sphenoid bone, which is basically this gray section right here that I'm pointing at. It's all of this gray section right here. The vomer also articulates with the palatine bone and the ethmoid bone. The ethmoid bone is that yellow section, and the palatine is this orange section right here below, and the maxilla, which is this blue section. Now we have the palatine bone of the skull, which is basically this orange section right here, this one right here. The palatine bone articulates with the maxilla right here, this blue section. It also articulates with the sphenoid bone, which is this gray section, and the ethmoid bone, which is this yellow section right here. It also articulates with the inferior nasal concha bone, which is this pink section, and the vomer part, which is this yellow. Last but not least, we have inferior nasal concha, which is basically this part section right here. Not this yellow one, but it's this pink section right here. It articulates with the maxilla, which is this blue section, the palatine, which is this orange section, and the lacrimal bones, which are these pink, and the yellow, the ethmoid bone.